Proceeding. Oh yes, I wasn't done optimizing this one, and the one before it is done. Area and cost for this is going to be difficult, mostly area. It would help if this was just one curve, but it has two curves. And an area trial. It would be dumb not to use the pistoning arms. First, I should just get something working. So now at this point, needs to be rotated twice in order to fit. Try this. That's almost correct. And try this. And at this point it needs to move again. Oh wait, I have an idea. Or is that a bad idea? Yeah, it is. Or is it? So the problem then becomes this one also needs to be transformed in exactly the same way. But how are you going to get the next one to there? And the only remaining solution I can see is something like this. Actually, no. The problem with that would then be that would ruin what was already designed before. So at this point, this needs to be rotated back out of the way first. There, now it should be complete. With only one redundant part. There. There must be a better way to do this. Wait. Oh. There's these 3 spaces here. I just noticed. Yeah, that's a problem. That should be good enough for area for now. And I don't I don't care to increase the cost efficiency right now either. So that's fine. Next. Oh, this is an interesting one. What stage is that? Secondary. This one is going to be optimized for speed. Well, that part looks correct now. Oh, that is good timing, actually. I don't like this angle, though. Can now this be linear instead of rotational? This way. This way we can run it at double speed. That's slightly too fast. There. This is now the bottleneck. And so now this becomes... First we can replicate all of this. Which should happen with the official replicate command. Making sure that all the alignments are correct, though. This level is where it should start. There. You see how this works. That's better. But still not running at maximum speed. This rotation takes 3 cycles to complete. Yeah, that's not very efficient. Oh, I just had a thought. Hold on. I know how to fix part of this. There. In fact, all of this needs to be renewed now, except for this part can stay almost exactly the same. These parts needs to be revised also. This is a problem. This can't be how this works. In fact, the way this originally was even better. Now this part becomes incorrect. I think I have a new idea. What if this is... What if these are constantly moving? That's better. I'm going to ignore the rest of this now. Getting bored with optimizing small parts. I want to see something larger now. This should be sufficient. Actually, this is pretty simple. So first, it just puts it here, and to mark that position, there, and then the remaining two need to go here, which would also indicate we need two of these. Well, need is a strong word. Now that's a potential problem. What about this instead? And that's better. Actually, this can be made even better by doing this. And even better by doing this. Small delay. No. This needs to happen before this happens now. There, that's fixed. Look how much better that is. Recirculating drum producer. Is there any way to make this better? I can hardly think of any great way to make it better. I'm going to be focusing primarily on just doing them for right now. Optimization is fun, but it gets tiresome. I see how this needs to happen. And that is level 2 in the hierarchy. Which actually makes this part much easier. There. And then after that, can feed to this part here. And this would be better as this, I feel. Or not. Oh, I know. Oh, what was I thinking? They're no longer involved in the situation at all. The final situation, that is. This part should be simple. I have a great idea. There. This needs to be offset slightly. There. And then finally it can just dispose of what it's holding here in this way. And that way this doesn't even need to fully reset because it can still grab. There. Sometimes an artistic solution is better than a fully efficient one. However, I can see many ways to optimize this. Enough of that. More story I'm going to fast forward through. Excellent. There. Now we're fully caught up on the no lore. More lore. Ignore all of this, none of it matters. There's also mini games, which I don't do. An easy one. Feels almost like cheating, it's so easy. And so at this point, there. And there needs to be a small delay here, so that this one can do its job. Now look at how much more optimized it can be though. In fact, technically, if I stagger these by 2 here and... oh wait, the way this needs to be is like this. Or is that correct at all? This looks correct. Yes. And because this takes so long, the path from here to here can actually be much longer also, and it won't bother the system. I would like to reverse this one now instead, so they're both moving in the same way, chirally, but opposite. And at this point, first we're going to see how this works. Oh, hold on. I know how to fix this. There. That should be better. And now for the other one. Which needs to happen at this time instead. And since this is a chiral system, all of those steps will be the same, just chirally inverted. And they don't even collide, so I don't even need to account for that. Excellent. And now it's running at a much greater speed than before even. And it also looks better. So that's pretty great. Next, this thing, this monstrosity. This is 5, which is not only an odd number, but a prime number, and our input is a different prime number. And so the only way to get a full maximum output is if the production is scaled to be these two numbers multiplied, which is 10. It needs to be 10 producers in order for both of these prime numbers to be compatible. And the bigger the prime numbers are, the worse it gets. Imagine 11 times 7, that would be 77. And very complicated to explain why that is. Only mathematicians would really understand. I think I see how you could do this. Especially if you do the transforming of these at the end. Oh, how about this? No, actually. Or perhaps. Reverse the positions of these two. There. And while that's happening, the other one can do this. which can actually be this. There. So now that's ready to be taken out. By this piece here, which can then bring it this way. Seeing a small problem. I have a better idea, actually. This will bring it out much faster, rotationally. Used to grab from this point, or from this point even. Or would it be better this way, in the opposite direction? There. And so now we can align the rest from here. The final step can just be this. Simple. And now that we know that works, we can revise this entire broken system by making them far too ambitious for their own good. So first, number 1 will make its part and then disengage. And while that's happening, number 2 will make its part. And after all of that has happened, we'll have one brief moment of respite, which will allow the next part to engage. There, that's faster. And look, it's not even that bad. Minor improvements could be made. In fact, one improvement is these inputs aren't even being fully utilized, as you can see. They have a lot of downtime. That's not great. Oh, dual output. That's interesting. And also new. And the way it's laid out is also interesting. So this needs one of these, and this needs one of these modified by one of these, and both of them need one of these. Yeah, this could be complicated if I wanted it to be. These two need completely different processes, but very similar parts, and so routing becomes the core problem of this. This one is the only one that needs this, so I can route it that way, but both of them need one of these. And so then that looks like a good distribution. That looks almost complete, actually. There, that should be this part complete. Hold on. Oh wait. This part can be replaced by multiple other parts, now that I look at it. First that part, which happens before this one, and then this one. There. And this other one should be easy by comparison. In fact, number 3, you don't even need to move that far. Or, better yet, if you do, that would be the entire process done all at once. If I stagger this to be slightly sooner, or actually you slightly later. There, everything done quickly and efficiently. Next. Oh, this thing. What a nightmare. Yes, this can become... Need one of each of these and one of these at some point. We can do the salting after the rest. And this one is going to take the most time and effort. It's best to break this up into smaller parts that you can think of individually. Otherwise, your brain is going to be reeling for answers and have no way of coming to any kind of a coherent conclusion. I feel that... here's an idea. What if, at this point, these two can do all of the work of this and then deposit the product over here, and then this one can complete its job by then bringing everything to the output where it's supposed to be. then it can rotate back so that this one can then grab and rotate the other way and then back. Or actually, I think these things should happen in the other order. So this should actually be first. Timing. There, and so now this one can then there. Now watch that. Look. Look, Mom. There. Process complete. Actually, I would prefer if this was the hexa arm. The squid-armed one. Oh wait, I forgot to reset you. Yeah, so that works now. Not very well though. No one part of it is fantastic. Except for this part. That part I'm pretty satisfied with. I'm gonna leave it like this now. New plan. I'm going to do all of these and then come back and optimize them after I'm done doing all of them. That actually makes a lot more sense. This one is something we're going to need to chain. These are actually one of my favorite kinds. So we're going to need at least one of these, and one of these. There's going to need to be linear. And it's a stage 3 metal. I'd like to use a rail this time. And this one, idea forming. Actually, this one is redundant now, so we don't need it. Fantastic. And finally, the only part we have left to consider is this one, which can be done pretty easily. There. Look at that. Maximum power. And on top of this, you can see we're not using this part of the track. So I can eliminate that also. It can get better, but not much better. In area and cycles, it's practically perfect. In cost, it is not perfect, however, and I know why. This can all be done by a single arm, that's why. Which, yes, that sounds ridiculous, but it's true. All of these opening dialogues must seem very out of context. Which is good, that means I did... that means what I'm trying to do is working. It's in the shape of this, which is a blatant hint as to what you can do with it. But I don't think I'm going to be doing it that way. Actually, if I did... it would be like this. Oh, I know. The salting can happen as a step of this part of the process. And actually, it can be resumed like this, instead of like that. Yes, this looks fine. Now about this one. That would mean that this needs to happen after that. And I can actually put this here, like this. Oh, but the problem then becomes this collides as it's moved to here. Which means I would need to change the orientation of all of this to get it to work again. But fortunately, that's not as bad as it seems. There. Needs to give this one moment of respite first. Actually, I think it can be done like this, can't it? Yes, that is correct. This all needs to be moved to the side. And at this point, you can activate. This should really be at the front. The first object, and then the second one, and now the third one. There, complete process. Probably not ideal. Yeah. Close enough. I can't be bothered right now to do any more. Next. Oh, this is a fun one. You can disjoin them now, also. Yes. And I need to add one stage to this in order to get it to work. So first step is disjoining. And I would like to arrange this rotationally. This looks good. Forgetting some aspects of rotational mechanics. Hold on. Actually, wouldn't it be better if I did it this way? Closer, but not quite. Almost. Oh, Another option is to do this. Or I'm going to forget this part for right now and just have it be oriented like this. Or not. Oh, that's a critical step of the process. this should happen here. Because the salting needs to happen. Actually, no, the upgrading needs to happen here. And should be done. It can be done like this, actually. There's... This part needs to be reattached at the end any way it works. And that becomes the key problem now. I have an idea. What if... Oh no, the other way around. Oh, and additionally, what if there's an undercarriage here that has a separate arm? Too early. Yeah, perfect. This is wrong now. Now the problem becomes this needs to happen on the inside. And is that even possible now? This would need to go here like this, which means we would need another arm. And inevitably, this would become circular. But this is a problem. Which can be solved like this. Or not really, actually. So in reality... This idea is looking worse by the second. Although the inside track is the shortest path to this area here, between these 2 points. Otherwise you would need to go all the way around. I feel slowing down the main wheel would actually be the first step in fixing this problem. Actually, what about getting rid of the wheel entirely? We don't need a wheel anymore. We can do this all linearly. With a track. And it can be compact like this. So first step of the process. And we can also have this happening in parallel. And so it comes to rest here. And this one should be offset from the other one by reset instruction somewhere. The first step is to get this detached, at which point a new arm on a new track will grab it and move it to where it needs to go. It's going to be both a... no wait. It doesn't need to be a piston because it can be like this. There. And now, second, no third. It needs to move 6 times in order to get to where it needs to go. And it needs to start doing that at this point. Now 1 step ahead of that. And then after that, this can progress to stage 2. With a small delay. Or perhaps it would be... no. At which point, this piston can actually preload this. Because it wouldn't interfere not to. But the problem then becomes that gets in the way of this. We could do this with another rail instead, actually. And there. So that way that doesn't get in the way anymore. And then after that, this can go this way immediately. And then at this point it can complete whatever it's doing. And while that's happening, this one is going to be resetting. Actually, that one should move into the process as soon as this is done. Or potentially even sooner. We can see right now. How many steps to being back to this point? 7. Yeah, which means that you need to take 7 steps also. There. This delay should also be built in, these 6 steps. To make it symmetrical. Yes, this happens too soon. By about 2 steps. Oh, this arm is the bottleneck, as I expected it to be. So, I feel like I have a new plan. Instead of you being like that, you're actually going to pass it over this, which will not interact with the salt because it's not designed to. And then after that, your other arm that you have will transport it the rest of the way to where it needs to go. And in order for that to work, the preload process needs to be halted and moved to this point instead. The problem with this is that you need to be halted while all of this is happening. This one final step needs to happen later. Much later. And you need to be staggered by 1. Oh, that's a problem. In fact, all of this needs to be moved ahead. Oh, that's bad. This was never supposed to happen this way. Arm number 4. You should only engage when at the very last moment. Instead of this, use this. One step sooner. There. Oh, that's a problem. I did not expect this to happen. This entire system is a mess. Need to completely rethink again what we're doing if we want to come even close to finishing this. So the linear idea was partially correct already. I'm going to not use the other idea though that was causing problems. No, actually, I don't like linear. How is this the hardest puzzle so far? This single atom can just take the long way around now. Yeah, it doesn't intensely matter anyway. Because of the way arms work rotationally, these rotations are faster than linear movement. Collision. This is turning into a minefield of possible collisions. That wouldn't be nearly as much of a problem if it wasn't for this one part. That absolutely must be carried to the end. Perhaps I should just cheat. Have it go the long way around regardless of any time. There. This is going to take forever. I don't even know how many cycles this is. That's 4. That's 8. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. There, and the return trip is going to be also that long. Yeah, so we're going to have this every cycle now. Plus the insertion itself. New idea. Going to have it. First, I'm going to have it do this. And there. And then I'm going to have this one do this in the opposite direction. But staggered. For obvious reasons. There, and now that's available here. And you can just preload this. While that's happening, there needs to be another arm here to grab this. Once it's done traveling, and place that where it's supposed to be here. An easy solution. There. And so this is mostly ready. There. This happens in the wrong order. There. This is better. I still have a problem. There. It's not as if it matters. Especially not anymore. There, now we have a solution. Which actually isn't too bad according to the statistics. I suppose there just must be almost no good solution for it. There, enough of that. More story. If you haven't noticed, there's a huge story dump before and after each chapter. Oh yes, this thing, the Omni Translator. Which is just cheating. So... there, this is the correct order. If you rotate on the wheel this way, it will be these. So first, I'm pretty sure these all need to be salted. But broken up before even that. So we'll need this. And we don't need to rejoin them after. This one first, then this, then these two, and rotate back around. Oh, I know. As if it wasn't already obvious. There. And from here, all it needs to do is rotate. And in the end, it can just push the last one forward. And it also needs something picking up after it. Because otherwise it's going to be a complete mess. Like this. Need to make sure the timing is correct. But what if we have a second carriage that is staggered by this much? Yes, that much. Oh, that does work. Here's a problem though. This happens too soon now. Now that that part of the process is complete, we can just have the router here, placing everything where they need to go. However, this needs to be a very fast router, otherwise it's going to clog again. So the first time something is available is on the second one of these. Yes, already looking at it. And it should, the wheel should also rotate directly after this first one. Yeah, so that we can have the second one in the series. Fortunately, not only are these two input and outputs have the same number of atoms in their molecules, or in total actually, but also they are not only not a prime number, they're a power of 2, which is very easy to work with. This would be simple if it wasn't for the complex routing of atoms. So the first one can go here, the second one can go here, the third one can go here, and the fourth one can go here. Or actually, reverse these. The problem yet again is this one just isn't fast enough on its own, so we need a secondary one. But where would we place such a device? It becomes the problem. Oh, I know, hold on. There. What if... There. So this actually needs to rotate one additional time. There. Which means all of this needs to happen ahead of schedule slightly. Or after. This looks much better. So the second one activates 2 cycles after the first one. Let's see if this timing is correct on the wheel. That is correct. And so now the first one needs to do this, and then after that the second one needs to do this, and then that's those two completely set up. I think this wheel needs to rotate constantly now. No, because if it does, that's a problem. So I'll leave out this final rotation. These two. Wait, this is the wrong arm, that's why we're having problems. It's 7 and 8. So... there. And only on the final one does this even need to be something. There. Now it works. And this isn't even the best way to do it. Look at this. Even the best statistic it has is very average. I should not progress. It's already been over an hour now.